Hello and welcome to CTV News across Canada for Wednesday, January 14th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast. Stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
The Tuesday commute came to a standstill heading north on Highway 400 in Bradford after a serious three-vehicle crash just before 4 this morning. 2 people were sent to hospital. The driver of the rig was not injured.
Tractor trailer lost power, came to a rest on the right shoulder, partially blocking the right lane. Short time later, an SUV, came and collided into the back of that trailer.
That vehicle was struck by a second SUV. The third vehicle involved was driven by an off-duty York Regional Police officer who was taken to a trauma center in Toronto. The other driver sustained minor injuries. Police say road conditions were bare and dry at the time. The truck driver had his lights flashing while stuck on the side of the highway prior to the crash.
In this case, the driver was not able to move his vehicle. He lost complete power. He had lights, and the lights were flashing, but not able to move the vehicle.
Is he good to go?
Provincial police are leading the investigation and piecing together what happened. Late this morning, cleanup crews were brought in to clear the highway of twisted metal and broken glass. The northbound lanes were reopened to traffic just after 1 this afternoon.
Now, while police continue to investigate the exact specifics surrounding this morning's crash, they are asking any drivers that may have dash cam footage that might have been driving by at the time to come forward. Rob Cooper, CTV News, next to Highway 400.
London police say they received multiple 911 calls around 10:30 Monday evening.
Officers arrived shortly thereafter and located an adult male in a hallway of an apartment building.
The focus of the investigation is this complex at the corner of Dundas and Hewitt in the Old East Village.
Officers attempted life-saving measures on that male, and he was transported to London Health Sciences Centre, where unfortunately he succumbed to his injuries and has since died.
Residents who live near the building where the stabbing took place say it consistently attracts the attention of police.
It's getting ridiculous how much crime's going on there, like the shooting in there because of drug deals goes on.
Nicholas Jeffrey has lived just a couple of doors south of 745 Dundas for about 5 years. He was watching hockey when he heard a commotion.
I heard like screaming, and then all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of sirens.
Police have not released the identity of the victim. The building does have surveillance cameras on site, and police continue to gather other evidence.
As with any investigation, surveillance footage, video cameras, any dash cam photos, those all form part of the evidence collection process in terms of trying to determine exactly what happened and who is responsible for this, and that is part of obviously is part of our investigation.
At this point, police haven't released suspect information.
We are appealing to the public that if they have any information that may help us identify a suspect in this incident, to call the London Police Service or Crime Stoppers.
Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
It's a massive housing development proposed for Cortlandt Avenue in Kitchener. 977 units in jeopardy due to water capacity issues in the region of Waterloo.
This is probably one of the most significant issues that impact the future of our community that we've dealt with in a long time.
Last year, the region discovered its primary pumping station for Kitchener, Waterloo, parts of Cambridge, and the townships does not have the capacity to meet the region's growth. And the report found the region should not approve more growth until a solution is found.
That impacted planning applications that staff have been processing and dealing with since.
To keep the housing pipeline from stalling, the City of Kitchener approved the Cortlandt Avenue project, but with a holding provision.
It allowed the city to fulfill its obligations in terms of considering the planning applications that were before them and to do it in a timely manner, but to also put in a condition that doesn't allow the development to proceed until the outstanding water issues are dealt with the region.
A stopgap measure that is not the answer developers are looking for.
The general feeling is it's an extremely serious issue.
Joseph Pupolo is a developer not involved with the Cortlandt Avenue project. He spoke with Regional Council today about the urgency of the situation.
I think the next 20 to 30 days are going to be really, really critical in the interface between industry as well as lower tier municipalities as well as the regional staff.
His concern, developers avoiding the region of Waterloo and disrupting the housing market.
The pipeline for new housing is years and years. It takes a lot of time in order to line up all the necessary things, whether it be financing, construction approvals.
Pupilo and local developers say the need for clear information is the first step.
The fear of the unknown will lead to unintended consequences. So we hope a very tight working relationship with lower tier and upper tier government will allow us to come up with solutions, and there are solutions to be had.
Today, Pupilo and over a dozen other local developers proposed to form a task force to work with regional officials to address the water crisis. They say the region really can't afford to move slowly on this, and they are hopeful their message is heard.
Jennifer Curran became a new mom and a cancer patient at the same time in her life. During her pregnancy, she was diagnosed with cervical cancer.
I had the cancer removed at the same time as my C-section.
She had no symptoms, but her cancer required radiation and chemotherapy.
So I didn't get a chance to linger in, being sad for myself because I had this little baby to take care of.
Human papillomavirus, or HPV, is the main risk factor for cervical cancer. Most cases occur in women younger than 50, and 430 Canadians die of it each year. Until recently, Pap tests were the main way to detect it. But Dr. Annie Leung and her team at the MUHC are working on a new HPV test that is more accessible and accurate, something that can save women from life-altering treatments.
The possibility that I would need to do surgery to remove their uterus and cervix, that has huge implications on what their future looks like.
While Pap tests are still recommended, Leung says there's now a shift towards self-testing, where swabs can be done by women at home, something that makes screening more accessible, especially in northern Indigenous communities where cervical cancer rates are the highest in the country.
So before we even see abnormal cells, we're able to identify and detect the virus that causes the abnormal cells.
Self-screening is already available in BC and Ontario, and Dr. Leung says it should be rolled out in Quebec by the middle of this year. Her research is part of the MUHC Foundation's new focus on diseases that affect women.
Women's health research receives only 7% of federal health research funding in Canada.
Curran is now working with the foundation to help them raise funds, and she's sharing her story to ensure other women get tested.
Had I had that test available to me at the time, my story could have been very, very different.
Fortunately, her story has a happy ending. Her 5-year-old daughter is healthy and strong, and so is she. Denise Roberts, CTV News.
Port St. John's $247 million West Side modernization project is now complete, and its timing couldn't be better.
This province is going to be once again called to be part of a national effort.
It's an effort that is happening nationwide to facilitate a smoother flow of goods across the country and bolster Canada's trade with markets outside the U.S. According to the federal government, St. John sits on some of the most strategic real estate on Earth.
That is the real estate that allows us to expand, to double our trade and our ability to trade with the rest of the world.
Not only does Ottawa believe St. John is a key corridor, but so do the port's partners.
We've signed up for a multi-decade lease with decades of extensions. We're not doing this for short term. We believe in this. We see it.
And while the port is primed to play its part, there is more to be done.
St. John Trade Corridor is growing, and we need to address some bottlenecks.
One of them is the infamous Sims Corner intersection on the city's west side. With more traffic from both trucks and trains expected in the area thanks to a growing port, it's of high priority for the province.
Imagine 1 million TEUs going through Sims Corner and what that's going to do to the traffic, to the quality of life of neighbors. We need to do something with that intersection now.
I know we'll be very interested in continuing to participate in the Sims Corner file. Sims Corner is but one of a series of pieces of infrastructure that will continue to make this port, help this port to grow.
The Premier says a decision on the intersection's future could come in the next few months. Ava McRae, CTV News, St. John.
It's going to affect a lot of people with a lot of families, and I'm worried.
A somber mood at Statistics Canada headquarters Tuesday afternoon, one day after workers learned 850 jobs will be cut over the next 2 years.
We got a message from the chief statistician yesterday, kind of breaking down who's going to be affected in a vague way, but yeah, we're just waiting for emails and notifications.
Of those 850 job cuts coming, StatsCan says 100 cuts are coming immediately.
I feel it's a dark day for the public service. I think it's also a dark day for Canadians and the data that they rely on from Statistics Canada.
The government agency grew by nearly 2,000 employees between 2019 and 2025, due in part to hundreds of employees from another agency merging with StatsCan in 2023. The fear now is that service will decline.
When they have less people to be able to examine that data, to secure that data, it frightens me that, how reliable is that data going to be?
For its part, StatsCan says it's focused on continuing to deliver data that Canadians rely on.
The chief statistician was very clear in his remarks yesterday that our core mission-critical programs, for example, our key economic indicators, will remain as they are. That is a priority for the agency.
But union leaders say the agency is relied upon for more than just key economic indicators.
They might be concentrating on core data, but there's so many things that Statistics Canada does that Canadians don't see. That's very key to our future.
In the meantime, workers are on standby, wondering if they'll have a job in 2 years.
Waiting for those emails and waiting for those messages from our management to let us know which direction they're going.
Another point of frustration for union leaders is what they call a lack of communication from the government. The Public Service Alliance of Canada telling CTV News in a statement, the government still hasn't explained what this workforce adjustment will mean for programs or services, leaving workers in the dark.
Surveillance video appears to show a man light something in his hand on fire before he tosses it toward a red heavy tow truck. Flames immediately engulfed the tires of that truck and quickly spread to surrounding vehicles, including another heavy tow truck. What the video doesn't show, a second suspect.
Both individuals were seen pouring gasoline on and around the heavy tow trucks.
Harnek Sahota has owned the black tow truck for 7 years. It's the only one he has.
It's very bad for towing business.
The latest operator to have his truck set on fire along this stretch of Rutherford Road this month.
We're very angry. I was expecting that because I always park my truck there. I never had any issue with anyone.
While they don't have any evidence that the incidents are related, police say they're looking into a possible connection.
Given the fact that it is tow trucks that were targeted, the timing and the location makes our investigators look at comparisons between the two.
This morning's fire at Rutherford and Norenda started at 3:15 a.m. The one earlier this month at Rutherford and Glidden began at 3:30. The latest tow truck set ablaze in southern Ontario in recent years, targeted in an alleged tow truck turf war.
To be honest, even last night, I had a dream that someone, fired on my tow truck.
Tow truck operators are scared, while others who aren't even in the business are also being impacted.
There is no my fault.
Harded owns a white food delivery truck that was involved in this morning's fire.
See, the box is totally damaged, so minimum $30,000-$40,000. And even like for 3-4 weeks, I'm out of my job. I have only one truck.
Meanwhile, Jesse Singh is the mechanic who was working on the red tow truck that was set ablaze.
We feel bad, man. I mean, it's bad in Brampton. I don't know what's going on right now.
The investigations continue. After starting the blaze, both suspects were captured on camera fleeing in a southbound direction. Also captured on surveillance video, a number of vehicles traveling along Rutherford. So police are hoping that anyone who may have captured dash cam video will contact them as soon as possible. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Nathan.
Tape surrounds the area near Sudbury's warming center where the fire broke out just before 10 o'clock Monday night. By the time help arrived, it was already too late.
Individuals at Energy Court noticed the tent fire. They were able to extinguish it with snow. However, once they extinguished it, they did find a deceased person inside the tent.
Police have identified the victim as a 38-year-old woman. While the cause is still under investigation, Sudbury's fire chief says this is a challenge facing many Ontario cities.
It is one of the biggest challenges for fire services right now in Ontario. We have formed a working group that includes internal and external stakeholders across the city so that it's a coordinated effort that tries to find balance between the need for warmth, and which sometimes means using fire, and of course, ultimate public safety to try and prevent something tragic like happened last night.
It is a tragic loss.
The 24/7 warming center, located just steps away, is run by the Go Give Project. While the facility was not at capacity at the time of the fire, the organization says it is continuing to work with the city of Greater Sudbury on a long-term response.
We still aren't aware of what the cause was at this time, so there are ongoing investigations taking place. So we can't really speak to a solution for this specific problem, but we can share that we are working very closely with community partners, including the city, to come up with more rapid solutions for, the overall general crisis that our community is facing.
The fire marshal and coroner have taken the lead on the investigation, looking to identify the cause of death and determine what sparked the fatal fire. More details will be released following a post-mortem. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
Defense continues to maintain that a different person, Trevor Barnett, is the shooter involved in this incident. And today they told the jury Barnett struck a deal with Crown attorneys to testify against Lucas. At trial, Barnett didn't identify Lucas as the shooter. He fabricated a lie about 4 unknown men as being the shooter that night, according to the defense. They say he wanted to vindicate Lucas, but also not get himself in trouble. The jury knows Barnett was charged with murder, but he pleaded guilty to a much lesser charge of obstruction of justice. The defense says the shooting started because of an argument between Barnett and Christine Crooks. It might have been an accident, the defense says. They say Panunzio was, quote, collateral damage, killed because she witnessed a shooting and Barnett did not know her, so he couldn't control her and force her to lie to police. The defense says Lucas fled the scene, changed his name, threw away his cell phone, and moved out of the area because he was out on bail and on parole at the time of the shooting, but not because he was guilty of murder. After a closing that lasted 6.5 hours, the Crown addressed the jury. The prosecution agrees Barnett is not on trial for murder, but he's not the shooter, rather the person who, quote, coached the cover-up. The Crown says Lucas was in a domestic relationship with Crooks, having met her 2 weeks before her death. Some argument broke out and Crooks was shot in the finger, possibly by accident. Panunzio was killed, the Crown says, because she was the only person there that night willing to call 911 after the first shot. The Crown says Barnett and Lucas dragged Crooks to the bathroom where she was shot for the last 2 times and left to die in the adjoining bedroom. The jury has also been reminded Lucas wore a bulletproof vest to that party. The jury was allowed to go home tonight, but asked to come back here to court on Wednesday morning ready to be sequestered. Justice Ramsey will then instruct them on the law and provide an overview of the evidence from the 9-week trial. After that, the jury, made up of 6 women and 6 men, will be sequestered until they can reach a unanimous verdict. In Welland, Michelle Molesky, CTV News.
Melissa McGilvery is hoping a letter signed by more than 200 staff at St. Paul's Hospital Emergency Department will get the attention of leadership.
Perhaps people would pause and listen.
The letter has dozens of testimonials detailing knives, guns, and even a grenade being brought into the hospital. It warns that violent incidents are not only possible, but probable. One worker describes watching a security guard get stabbed multiple times for asking someone in the waiting room to stop smoking. A protective vest helped avoid serious injuries. Another worker describes having a patient spit blood in their face and mouth, and another watched a patient bite a nursing student to the point of bleeding, knowing the harm it would have so early in her career.
I don't want to use the word burnout because it's not that staff don't want to provide care, it's that they don't feel safe to provide care.
The letter calls for leadership to meet with staff and visit the unit outside of photo ops or ceremonies. Workers also want more security on staff and to have metal detectors put in place. Until then, they want security to use the handheld metal detectors they say are in storage.
What I see is that the workers don't really have input into what is happening in their work area.
The union representing security staff at Saskatchewan hospitals says security isn't just calming people down in impatient waiting rooms. They're also being tasked with addressing serious incidents.
I don't know what security gets paid, but it is not enough.
The SHA says actions are underway to enhance safety and security protocols in facilities, and the piloted use of metal detectors at the Royal University Hospital will help guide future deployment at other urban centers. Health Minister Jeremy Cockrell says he's been meeting with the Saskatchewan Health Authority to discuss these current challenges, and he'll have more to say in the coming days. Keenan Sorakhan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
A warrior and hero. This is how the family of the woman who killed her attacker in self-defense is describing her. In a statement to CTV News, the family says she didn't want to hurt anyone. She tried for so long to fight him off and escape, but when she was about to take her last breaths, she did what she had to do to survive and defend herself from the man taking her life. The woman in her 30s was beaten so badly she was barely recognizable to them, with her body bruised from head to toe and one eye swollen completely shut for days. She stabbed her attacker during a rental property showing. Her story all too familiar for real estate broker Jeff Buziak. In 2008, his daughter Lindsay, a realtor, was killed showing a couple at home in BC. No arrests were ever made.
I am so grateful that the woman who was showing is okay. I'm glad the attacker is dead, because they get what they deserve.
Access to. For those who make a living selling homes, it's a gut check. Realtor Victoria Dalglish does financial background checks on clients while also parking her vehicle on the street instead of the driveway.
When people are walking around the house, instead of backing yourself into a corner, you want to stay where there's a door.
She's also ready with a designated emergency contact at the touch of a fingertip and no self-defense. Diana Trang, a self-defense instructor, says it's a tool everyone should consider having. She is commonly teaching realtors, teachers, while also doing corporate sessions.
Being proactive and learning it before you actually need it. Obviously, I hope that people don't ever have to use it.
As for the victim, who used self-defense to save their life, her family says she has a long recovery road ahead, but her condition is improving. Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.